What's up, YouTube? We're gonna do a little yo-yo review today. Happy Saturday. This is the Blazing Teens Metal Max Tornado. Not gonna really do the specs on this yo-yo because it doesn't really matter so much. Gonna kind of rant a little bit as well, I guess, but yeah. So this is the Blazing Teens Metal Max Tornado. This came out last year. I guess it came out, I think, around Nationals or Worlds last year sometime, which I guess is sort of, not that far apart, or at least they didn't used to be. And it was part of the Blazing Team series. This is actually the highest level yo-yo that the Blazing Team series released in America. I'm pretty sure that's all been canceled since then, and these have all been placed on closeout. They made about 50 bazillion of these. I got this at Ollie's bargain outlet. These were originally, I believe, $29.99, but they are now at most of the Ollie's bargain outlets for $4. So, yeah, $4. Probably the cheapest metal yo-yo I've ever purchased. $4. Yep. So let's talk about it a little bit. So this is kind of a gimmicky yo-yo. I'm not the biggest fan of gimmicky yo-yos, and I wouldn't have paid $30 for it because gimmicks are kind of silly. But for $4, I'll buy a gimmicky yo-yo for $4. It's kind of the inverse of what the Yo-Yo Factory 9 Dragons is. Instead of it having a shell on the inside, it's got, these are basically Z-stacks, but they come over the edge of the yo-yo. And I'll throw it around and I'll show you the gimmickiness of all of that. And you saw in the intro a little bit of that sort of tossing back and forth like it's a fidget spinner and like I'm doing fidget spinner tricks. But I can't do fidget spinner tricks, but I can toss this yo-yo like it's a fidget spinner. So kind of works like that a little bit. As you can see, like it's sort of just, it'll spin in your hand as well as sort of spin like a spinner will. So this is sort of the cross between a yo-yo and a fidget spinner. At least the closest one I have. So let's kind of, let me show you what the gimmick is. And we're going to talk about what I think happened here as we take it apart. So as you can hear, this thing is super loud. This is probably the loudest yo-yo I have. And then when you grab it, even louder. Loudest yo-yo of all time, but you can move it around. It'll sit on your hand. It's still spinning. Back into your hand. And you can bind it. So these came unresponsive, but takes a little bit of breaking in because I don't know if they lubed them to make them sort of responsive at first, or if they just sat so long that they needed some bearing maintenance before they were actually completely unresponsive. But mine's completely unresponsive now. Show you, do like unresponsive tricks with it and whatnot. Give it slack and all that jazz. So, totally unresponsive, which is probably their problem. It was meant to be for retail stores, but it's an unresponsive yo-yo, which means somebody threw it down, went, how come this thing doesn't come back? And that was it. So let's take this bad boy apart, and I'll show you the construction. So also, it's kind of tough to get apart. I've taken the caps off a few times, but once you get the caps off, they're not that hard. They're just these plastic caps. Nothing special about them. They're caps. They fit over this bearing. This bearing seems lubed. You can pull off both sides. They're the same cap. I've seen some people doing, like, they've modified this to take hub stacks. I actually kind of prefer it with the caps. I think the caps are cool. For being a gimmicky yo-yo. You can do lots of yo-yos with hub stacks. To have caps that actually wrap over the yo-yo, it's kind of cool. Nothing else really like that. I actually prefer this to the this having it on the cap and wrap around to instead of the 9 Dragons. I actually kind of like that better. This better. So there's that. As you can see, it's a metal yo-yo. It's made by Auldey. and distributed by Hasbro in America. Just a standard sort of slimline looking shape. As far as Auldeys are concerned, I always kind of complain about their build quality. This one, it screws together kind of tough. It's not, I don't know, a little scratchy in there. Also, Auldey always uses weird size pads. Like, these are not quite as wide as CLYW snow tires, but they're also not standard 19mm pads either. So, you know, I kind of wish they would use just regular pads in their cheap yo-yos, so you didn't have to, like, silicone their $4 yo-yos. Blast finish on this is actually pretty nice. It's nice and blasted on both sides. You know, you can't really get any grinds so much because there's, like, not that much space in between. Kind of comes with this weird bearing, too. It's a 10-ball bearing. Spins good once you get it broken in and get it cleaned up and stuff. It's got this, like, it's like a grooved bearing, but it's like, I don't know if you can see that. It's like a weird groove in the bearing. Stainless steel axle in the middle, or just a steel axle in the middle. I don't know, that might be not be stainless. You know, pretty simple, pretty standard yo-yo with, you know, hubstack type thingies on it otherwise. But, you know, construction is what you'd expect out of a kind of cheapy Chinese yo-yo that was uber mass produced. And I think that's sort of where they went wrong with this. Don't get me wrong, I loved seeing, you know, yo-yos like this in stores. But the first unresponsive yo-yo I ever saw in a store was this one. And it was unresponsive, and it was $30, and it was gimmicky. So, not exactly something you're going to sell to somebody who's never played with an unresponsive yo-yo before. Which is sort of unfortunate. And I know that you can get, you know, there was commercials, and you could get other yo-yos from Blazing Teams that were like of different levels, and maybe you could work up the levels. But I think what they did, I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot, because this was overpriced at $30. You know, for a retail store, nobody was going to pay $30 for a yo-yo. I think that's really what it came down to. I think, you know, a lot of them probably sold at $10. I know Walmart blew them out at $10 at one point. I didn't buy it for $10, but now there's, I mean, the Ollies in Monroeville had them in cases. They had a whole wall of them practically. I mean, they had tons of them for $4. $4, which is, you know, it's a great price for, you know, for a yo-yo at $4, but I would say that they're probably going to consider that a failure, because it's blown out at $4 at all the bargain outlets. So, for $30, this would be a piece of crap. And I'm sorry for those of you who like it and have fun with it. $30, I mean, this yo-yo sucks. A lot of Aldi's I don't particularly like, but for $30, this would suck. But for $4, it's a fun little gimmicky thing that you could play with. I can't say that it's something that I have that's, you know, a lot of fun. The caps kind of make the weight distribution weird. It's really loud. It's pretty smooth, actually, without the caps. Let's take the caps off, throw it. Pretty smooth, actually, without the caps. But with the caps, you know, I mean, you could definitely feel the caps spinning, like, on the string. It feels like vibe, but it's not like vibe. It's like some extra sort of, like, pulsating, I don't know. It's like there's another yo-yo playing on your yo-yo, which, you know, I guess is also the way the Nine Dragons works, but I don't like that either. So, I'll show you. This one's kind of smooth, but maybe I got a good one. I don't know. I don't know if they're all this way. But, pretty smooth. Almost 10 out of 10, actually. About 9 out of 10. A little bit of fingernail vibe. About 9 out of 10. But the blast finish is actually pretty nice. Grind's really good if you don't have the caps on. The caps will kind of mess up your grinds because they come over. And show you what I mean by that. Yeah, caps kind of feel weird, but you kind of can do it because they're spinning. But you sort of more just want to go whoop. Sometimes it's catchy. The pads are extra grippy, so you got to break those in a little bit. They're not totally flush with the Yo-Yo when you first get it. I played with this a little bit, so they're starting to break down and sort of like even up and be more unresponsive, but you know, they're not perfect yet, and they're kind of wider, so think about how grippy snow tires are. These are kind of that level of grippy, plus they're not exactly flush with the Yo-Yo. So, yeah, Metal Max Tornado was a decent idea, kind of poorly executed. I think they've made way too many of them. I don't know how they're going to sell all of these at all those discount stores, even at $4. I mean, there are so many. But, you know, if you guys dig it, go pick one up. I mean, maybe everybody that watches this video might be able to buy out all of the ones in, like, one of the stores. Because, like, literally, there were hundreds of them at the one store that I went to in Monroeville. Hundreds of them. And I think there's 4 or 5 of them in just the general 10-mile, 15, 20-mile radius. So, you know, there's probably 2,000 of these in the Pittsburgh area. I know they have one. I know they have an Ollie's in Steubenville. They probably so there's probably some there. So probably within, you know, the hour drive radius of Pittsburgh, there's probably 2,000 of these in the different Ollie's bargain outlets, and I know those things are all over the world, or all over America. So maybe too many Yo-Yos, but go pick one up if you're looking for kind of a fun gimmicky Yo-Yo that has hub stack things. Because for $4, why not? But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Leave me a comment down below. Did you pick up a Metal Max Tornado for $4? Do you feel ripped off because you paid $30 for it last year? I would, but that's a topic for a different video. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more Yo-Yo content, and I will see you next time.